Hey everybody, and welcome to a magical wild ride with Steve-O. Man, did I fall in love with this guest. And if you're not sure who he is, let me put it to you this way. If you've ever seen a video that had an illusion, some kind of crazy viral magic, it was probably Zach King. And he's gotta be the coolest dude ever, man. Really a lot of fun. I also want to tell you that I just got back from my first stop on the bucket list tour since the pandemic, and that show is on fire. Man, go to steveo.com to check out my dates, dude, because you don't want to miss it. It's so much fun, just like this podcast. So let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach King. Yeah, dude.
What's up, everybody? We're in the back of this amazing RV bus. I don't know what do you call this thing?
It would be a conversion van.
Converted, okay.
Class B motorhome.
Yeah.
RV.
But it's more than a Sprinter van.
It's a
rolling podcast studio van.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It's 6 inches wider than a Sprinter. Runs on gas, not diesel. But I find myself in the weeds. You've met Scott Randolph, my co-host.
That's right.
And thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah,
You're a big-ass deal.
Thanks for having me. I'm taking notes because I think we talked about doing a podcast like maybe 2 years ago, and we wanted to do it in the back of an Airstream.
Yeah.
Which now seeing you set up, roll up, like it's no joke. It's a lot of work. So,
well, dude, plus that's us rolling up with everything already still set up from the podcast we recorded yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
We've never done that before.
I mean, dude, we've never done that before because we didn't want to have the equipment like banging around while we drove.
Yep.
But we rolled the dice on it. We strapped everything down with Velcro straps, and
Is
we
that
got
the
away
new
with
strat
it.
now?
I think that if we can
It might be.
rack them up and knock them down a bunch at a time, that's good.
That's the way to go. Do you guys usually bulk do your podcasts?
Oh yeah, I've never done one without Scott, I don't think. And we've
But
had.
do you do them in bulk? Like many in a week? A couple in a day?
We never seek to do it any certain way. The only priority we have is in getting like solid guests.
Yeah.
Because everybody and their mom has a podcast. I believe there are 2 million podcasts out there.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of embarrassing, honestly,
Yeah.
to ask people, will you do my podcast?
It's kind of like YouTube and just social media in general. I feel like it's never been a better time to be a creator, but at the same time, it's never been harder to get exposure, to have an audience and actually do something that feels unique and a little bit original.
To rise above the noise.
Right.
Yeah. And our philosophy in doing that is just to try to have like really high standards for guests,
Cool.
Which you have met.
Well, hey, thanks. I'm honored.
Yeah.
You've met our standards, and I think that every single person who I mentioned that we were going to do a podcast with you was, oh my God, I'm so psyched. I love
Wait,
that
is that
guy.
the magic guy from Vine?
Yeah.
What's he doing these days?
So I mean, I think it's evident that you're way bigger on TikTok than you ever were on Vine.
Right. It's, we kind of predicted it, not TikTok, but years ago we would talk about someday there's going to be, do you remember there's this kid named Alex from Target that was trending a couple years ago, and it was Twitter. It was one of these guys, like, I think it was just that he was a good-looking dude. Some girl took a photo of him at Target, and he went viral overnight. And we always predicted that there'd be this time, and I think it's going to get even crazier, where you're going to get people that get to 50 million, 100 million, 250 million subscribers, followers, whatever they call it on the platforms, in a matter of months or even less than a year. Like
Right.
that time is increasing exponential, and that's what's interesting to watch. Like you see it with, I think the latest example is probably Bella Porch is a great example. Just what looks like overnight success.
Right. And increasing the stakes of the potential pitfall of having so many subscribers and not the views.
Right.
That's like the worst. It's
Yeah.
like being famous and broke.
Yeah, and your engagement's just not there, and
Right.
people aren't really there. Maybe an audience in numbers, but not really watching.
Right. And it's so tough how just completely democratic, absolutely scientific the digital landscape is. You're just out in the wind, absolutely exposed for exactly how you're doing in the popularity contest of life.
Yeah. I don't view it that way as much. I think I used to when I started. I've been doing YouTube for almost probably 12, 13 years. In the beginning, it was like, what are the reasons people are following? Why is this going viral? Let's look at like the hot spots, and you could still, they give you so many metrics now. You spend your whole life in the back end trying to figure it out. But for me, and my team, we kind of have a philosophy of trying to make what our taste is, what we enjoy.
Right.
I mean, imagine it's when you guys were making Jackass years ago. It's like maybe the networks weren't giving you the data right. Like you made the thing, put it out, years later really found out how it did, and the numbers. Like I feel like it's kind of like that approach. I enjoy throwing it against the wall, and obviously we have 24 hours later, or real time now. Heck, you can see how it does, and you can take that back into your writing room and start the process over again. But I also think there's things I would compromise on if I was trying to get the best engagement or the best views. Certain thumbnails you'd have to make. But I feel like if I don't fully want to go that route.
Integrity is really important. Like, I never will seek to mislead my audience with some kind of a clickbait thing that doesn't deliver in the video. But with that said, I will absolutely whore myself out, my friends out. I'll sell my soul to try to get the views with the right thumbnail and the right title. Right. But it will always be what it promises to be.
And I think for us, and you might be similar, where it starts with that core of the, like if you know the story idea is good, if you know that gag is good, or that thing is going to be funny or hit right, that's where we're trying to like start with level one. That's like where we want to focus, not starting on level one being the metrics. I think that's going to be the step in the wrong direction.
Right.
Am I okay to ask? Like, it's not like I'm asking you how much your net worth is, but like, what's
like he has asked people before, blatantly.
Yeah.
How many millions do you have?
No.
Walk out of the van.
What's the most like views you've ever gotten on TikTok versus Vine?
You want to talk about views? You should get a view of my underwear, because I've never been more in love with a company's underwear than MeUndies, man. So stylish. Not only do they make these underwear from totally sustainable materials, the choices are virtually endless, man. God, do I have a killer deal for you. If you go to MeUndies.com/Stevo, you're going to get 15% off your first order of these unbelievably comfortable underwear. Plus, if you sign up for the membership, oh man, you're getting first access, totally killer discounts, and awesome underwear sent to you every single month. I'm telling you, it's all about MeUndies. So again, for 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/Stevo. Now let's talk about views.
So I don't remember Vine. I mean, Vine was loops, right? So that was kind of misleading.
5 seconds.
Misleading. Probably a couple 100 million loops on a video, but now, like, I think we hold the record for the #1 TikTok video, which is wild. It's a video of me rolling up. It looks like I'm floating on a broomstick. Roll up, and it reveals like there's a mirror with a leg glued to it, and that's how we pulled off the illusion. I'm on a like electric skateboard, just floating there, holding the broom in the mirror. And I think it has like 2-point-something billion views. And I don't know their full loop metric either, but I think it's every 8 hours it counts as a new unique view. And it like broke, the TikTok team told us it broke their algorithm for the view count, and it started actually going in reverse because they didn't ever plan for a video getting that many views, which is pretty fun. Now they've updated it since.
And I believe they've updated the view count, because I've been checking a video I put on TikTok, and it's updating like what seems real time.
Yeah.
Like certainly more than every 8 hours.
Yeah.
What's the most views you've gotten on TikTok?
I don't know. I think like 7.6. But I have a problem with TikTok, which is that it seems to be such a sensitive platform that they're very quick to take down videos that I put up, citing violation of community guidelines, despite the fact that the very same videos have been perfectly acceptable on every other social media platform.
Yeah, they're very. I've seen that they're cracking down on the policies. What kind of videos? Obviously, I just saw an email this week. They took away. You can't do gambling. You can't talk about.
Oh damn!
You can't talk about credit cards or contests or sweepstakes. Like there's a huge list of things.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I imagine your content gets flagged a lot. I think I've had one that was flagged. I don't remember what it was, but it got taken down, and we actually reposted it. And I think it probably depends
the repost slipped through.
Yeah, it slipped through. Fine.
Yeah, you know, like I kind of take it hard when something gets taken down. I've had for dangerous activity, you know, that could result in serious injury. I've had it taken down for illegal activity.
Okay.
And that was just a video of me climbing up the crane protesting SeaWorld.
Yep.
You know, like that was taken down.
That one should probably be allowed. Did they ever allow it?
No, not at all. And then I've had another one taken down for being sexually suggestive when all it was me bouncing a rubber ball into a woman's cleavage.
Yeah,
You know?
I bet they have your name and like send
But
straight to the same person. It's like, yep, it's Steve-O.
But
Flag him.
full disclosure, though, it wasn't just bouncing the ball into cleavage. When it played into a promo, I said I'm selling autographed dick pics at stevo.com.
That's what it was.
And
In
they
the
said,
caption. Yeah.
they said that it was I was promoting the sale of like pornography, which I was.
Okay, well, they busted you, rightfully so, I guess.
Yeah, right. They did. But like I said, same content was totally cool on every other platform.
Yeah.
So, dude, I gotta tell you, man, that I'm impressed. I haven't even been in your compound, but like rolling up here, your compound is epic. Your team is like,
The most accommodating team of all time.
And they were stoked when they knew you guys were coming.
Cool.
On the team meeting, some of them flipped out. You know, I don't know if they've already taken photos with you.
no, but I'm always happy to take photos with absolutely everybody.
But yeah, the team I work with, I've gone back and forth over the years because I started, you know, as a filmmaker solo. Like I did this all by myself. I had friends that were filmmakers, but we always had our own track. So when I started a business, there was seasons I would go through where I was like, I don't really know if this is fulfilling the creator in me. Like I'm having to be basically a CEO, run the business side of things, figure out how we're gonna make payroll this month, and write some of the creative stuff and then manage people. Like it's a whole extra job.
Right.
But I do think over the years I've seen it, managing people and getting to collaborate with awesome people in the world, it totally outweighs all the other, you know, sometimes baggage that comes along with it, extra tasks.
Sure. I think that as a function of like meeting all these crazy people who we do the podcast, probably the biggest benefit is in really sort of getting to download like their approach as much as possible. You know, we see how people operate. We see like you know, how they run their business, like what they have to say about. And we really glean a lot of information. You know, like we did a podcast with Casey Neistat.
Yep.
Like short order, within the next 2 weeks, I'm putting up vlogs.
Awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
we collaborated with David Dobrik, and he said, you know, his #1 revenue stream is merch, and we just
Started the merch line.
I mean, we had the merch line, but we really sort of rebuilt our approach to it. You know?
That's the one part of the business we haven't figured out. We even came close to. I mean, we're still talking about like, do we shut the thing down because it's a lot of work, but I also am not a person that naturally is like, hey, go buy this shirt, you know, in the video. So maybe if that's not me, it does need to be canceled.
So you have a merch operation, but you're thinking about
have it,
canceling
and there's
it.
like fans who are dedicated that'll love it and buy it no matter what we put out. But it's a lot of work. Like I'm more leaning. Like I like to focus our efforts on the things that are doing really well and just like lean into those a little more, and then slowly open up other ones that, you know, are successful.
How much of your content do you get branded integration?
The math is, it's probably like 25%. We do a lot of
dude,
original content, you know, 75% unbranded, the passion projects, the short films, all that. And then we'll do integrations in the middle of pieces. So I don't love doing the fully dedicated ones anymore. Those are a ton of work. Usually the client reviews are pretty crazy. And you have to at some point compromise on,
of course.
Hopefully not, but like you're stepping that line of like, I feel like I'm compromising.
Right.
So we try to do just little integrations, which will be a 30-second piece in the middle, much like I think in the middle of the podcast you guys have, you know, your sponsors. So
for sure.
It's like that. And but I love adding our twist to it. You know, it's like when we get the brief, it's actually fun. Like I think a lot of people are like, oh, I have to do that sponsor this month. But for us, it's like, well, how do we take this and really make it something our fans are going to love? Is there a way we give something back to our fans from the brand? Like there's a lot of creative ways you can integrate brands, and that's a fun challenge for me.
I take it so seriously, man, and every time I see a comment on our YouTube for the podcast or anywhere, where people acknowledge the effort that I put into the ad reads.
Yeah.
You know, we have the little trick where we pull off the screen.
Yep.
We always like build it into the context of what's being said in the podcast. I do everything.
You did one with
possibly-
Coyote Peterson, which actually threw me for a loop. You were like, I got a question for you. And then you went right into,
You know, when people compliment the way that we approach our ad breaks on this podcast, man, it makes me hard as a rock. I'm just kidding. But what really makes me hard as a rock is Blue Chew tablets. Why? Because they have the same active ingredient as both Viagra and Cialis. And if you don't know how good of a time it is to take Blue Chew tablets, I think you might want to pay close attention right now because it's so simple and it is so fun. It requires no awkward in-person visit to a doctor. No, you just go to bluechew.com and you consult with one of their medical professionals online. It's super fast, it's super easy, and then you get your Blue Chew tablets in the mail. You know what's even better is that if you use the promo code STEVO at bluechew.com, you will get an entire month's supply completely for free. All you have to pay is $5 for shipping. Oh man, is there nothing to lose. And oh boy, do I love Blue Chew tablets, man. I show Lux after I chew one up because they're chewable and delicious, and they cost only a fraction of the price of the other ones, you know. Oh man, I show Lux my tongue and it's blue. She gets so excited. We jump in bed. We have the greatest time ever. I'm telling you, if you're a dude and you want to get a real major boner, it's time to go to bluechew.com and use the promo code STEVO for an entire month's supply of Blue Chew tablets, and all you have to pay is $5 for shipping. I'm telling you, it's the best deal going, so do it. And now, let's get back to Zach.
I got a question for you.
Right.
And I don't remember what the sponsor was, but you started talking, and I was like, I thought you were asking Coyote, and I was into it, and I would listen to the whole, and I was like, that was genius. Like the way, I don't know if that was intentional.
I replace our ad reads at the most like kind of commercial break.
Yeah, and I was leaning in right to the interview at that point.
The it's like TV shows, you know, they go to commercial like on a real cliffhanger moment, you know, so that you've got everybody's attention, you're not squandering it, and then by trying to like, you know, really make it pertinent in the context of what's being said, like you make it much more palatable. And I mean, dude, like not to name any names, man, but I see people doing podcasts and like they're literally holding up the page from the sponsor, like for what's like needs
All
to be
the
said,
talking
like
A
points.
lifeless read. They're just like
like where they appear to be reading it for the first time, and it's just like I can't do that, man. I care too much about doing like solid business for people who I work with, and delivering like palatable content to my audience.
I wonder why that is. You know, I've seen those same, it's in the YouTube space and online, you see everyone give the same reads, and you're like, hey, I got sent that deck too, but like we twisted it in this way. Like, why didn't? And I think a lot of that might be the lack of education in the space, knowing that like for a smaller influencer, we've learned over the years because we have a team that manages the brand partnerships, and we know what we can push back on and what's important to the brand. But I imagine for younger influencers, it's, you don't know if you like, they're paying you this money. Sometimes it's your first year as an influencer.
No, it's like seasoned vets that are,
exciting.
you know,
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
fully seasoned
odd.
people.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's just like somehow built into me. I remember the first time anybody offered me money to show up somewhere in person, like a personal appearance thing. It was back in 2001, in January of 2001 at that. This guy says, I want you to come to a party. I'll fly you in, I'll fly you out the next day, and I'll pay you $700. And I said, dude, $700, don't just pay me $700. I will chew and swallow glass. I will light myself on fire. You know, like I want to earn it. You know, like I couldn't understand how it was possibly worth it to this guy to pay me $700 when meanwhile Jackass was the #1 show on MTV and I was a principal cast member.
You're like, I will pay you and reimburse you for your plane tickets.
Right. And then all these years later, it's kind of the same little fucking thing in my head where I'm like, dude, like, they're paying me like good money to promote these companies, and
Yeah.
so like let me make sure that I actually like the company and care about like their products, and let me do like don't just give me the money, let me earn it. You know, I love having that kind of a disposition.
It reminds me of my first brand deal was with Penske, the moving truck company, yellow truck, and they were like, "Hey, well," I remember the deal was like $500, and I think I was making 2 Vines, and this was my 2 months after being on Vine, and same thing. Like I had never heard of a brand deal. I was new, like on YouTube, I did a few of those, but it was mostly AdSense that was paying my bills.
Sure.
And other, I was selling DVD courses for training for Final Cut Pro, but I got $500 for like 2 Vines, and I was same thing. I was like, I mean, I think I spent $3,000 on that video. I rented their truck. They sent me a truck,
Right.
And they let me have it for a week to make my video. But I was like, no, let me also production value. Let's $1,000 on the lighting, $1,000 on the
Sure.
camera. Like let's do this right, and actually going out of pocket for them. But those are the brand deals that are awesome though, because you still have those today. It's like no matter what the budget is, you're still gonna put like
Sure.
you know, a company came to us years ago and was like, hey, we want to do something just unexpected, and we're like, well, let's build a rotating room, and like let's spend tons of money like getting the team that built the rotating room for Inception, and I'll show you, we still have a piece of it in here when we go into the studio, but that's the fun of it, is like putting those budgets back into making something you like.
It's investing in your future too.
Yeah.
You know, like by doing it, I stand by that 100%.
How,
And dude, you're so ad friendly. I gotta say, you know, when I tell guests that I'm jealous of them for any reason, I see like, hey, well, dude, you're a jealous hater. Like, and a lot of the time that's just, I think, my instinctual way to, you know, to acknowledge and you know, give credit.
Yeah.
But dude, like to have the audience that you have and to be so like ad friendly, like I'll just never be that. So like,
Yeah, it's something
admire it.
I definitely probably have taken for granted, because people tell me that, and but then there's those people you meet and they try to be ad friendly on camera, but off camera you're like, whoa, what? You're a different person.
Right.
But for me, like that's part of my nature. I'm just a pretty
Sure.
chill, clean guy normally, and it's funny, like our lines are totally different on how far we'll go. But when we discuss videos, we have a whole pile of videos that we call like the After Dark channel. Like if we had an After Dark channel, you know, like
wow.
where would we go with the magic if it was like a dark comedy, if we could be really crude, and we have a whole list of those.
If you wanted to have an OnlyFans.
Right, so we've got that list. We and it's funny, like when we're in the writing room, like sometimes the jokes are hilarious, but we're like, it just doesn't feel like, would I show my kids that someday? Would I
Do
show,
you have kids?
I've got 3 kids.
Wow, how
So,
about that? How old are you?
I'm 30. Geez, I'm 31. Yeah, 31.
Okay. Wow.
So
and you've adopted.
adopted my oldest, because my wife and I did foster care for a couple years, and then we have a biological son, and then we actually have we're doing foster care again, so we have a daughter now.
Fantastic.
And, it's awesome. So I'm a dad of young kids, you know, still not getting sleep, and they haven't watched many of my videos. They've been in a few of them, and I've showed them when it's done, and they think it's pretty cool, but they haven't seen. I'm scared to show them my videos because I think they're gonna think it's obviously magic, like a lot of the kids I meet do, and then expect me to be cool all the time, like when I'm at home.
Okay.
So, like, because I don't do I can do like 4 coin tricks, right, for them at a kid's level. They're impressed.
Yeah.
You guys want to be impressed. So that's my fear. Is like when I show them the video, when they find out there's this their dad is magical, like, what is their level
Right.
of how's that going to raise?
I do believe that we would be impressed by whatever coin tricks you do. And my first question that I thought to ask you was, do you get just the annoying, like, every day, like, oh, show me a trick. Like, can you show me a trick in person? Like, you got to get that more than I get.
But now I have a way to do that. Like I pull out my phone and I just do, like with fans, like I'll just make them jump cut stuff, like make them, grab them, throw them somewhere else, disappear, edit it on the spot. That was what's great about Vine. They have that feature still in the Vine camera. So that's fun to do. And that's my way of, like, I don't really do magic, but it's weird. Like kids, I was hanging out with David. We shot a video with David Blaine a couple months ago.
Oh, I have the best David Blaine story, too. I can't wait to hear this.
And it's like, it's weird that kids will go up to him and call his stuff magic, and also call my stuff magic. I'm a little uncomfortable when we're out in public, because I'm like, I'm not, like, I know David knows I'm not a magician. It's not like that. I don't do traditional magic, but yet kids have that same amazement that they do, that feeling when they watch the videos. So,
you know,
I'm torn. I'm not traditionally a magician, but it's almost this new.
You're a digital magician.
Yeah,
like,
it's like a new term.
And I think that I might get in trouble for this with magicians, but I think it's generous to make the discernment
distinction?
make the distinction. I think it's generous because you're candidly admitting that what you do isn't magic because you're like editing, you're creating an illusion through deceptive editing.
Right.
And magic by definition is deceptive. There's we know that nobody has magic powers, and so essentially, magic is synonymous with dishonesty.
Right.
And so I kind of put you in the same category. But with that said, the level of talent that David Blaine has is fucking off the charts.
It's so the distinction I make is he can do it in person. I can't.
Right.
And that's
Okay.
what even though I know he's doing deception, when I watch him perform,
It's unbelievable.
I'm literally jaw dropped, about to cry, because
Right.
he's actually making it feel and that's at the end of the day what matters.
Right. Yeah. Whatever.
What's your David Blaine story?
Okay, dude. I met him in New York, and we were in a restaurant or a bar or something like that, and I was just gung ho to show him one of my bar tricks. I've always been
like a magic trick.
Yeah, and I have a video on YouTube called My 10 Best Bar Tricks, and I just show them all and give away the secrets and
Yep.
everything, and it's like one of my top performing videos
Okay.
on YouTube. And I've loaded them all into one video.
What's the demographic of that video? Can you see who's watching that?
I don't know, man, but it's pretty popular. So I hit him with my breadwinner, which was I said, dude, I'm gonna here's this cup, with a drink in it. I'm gonna place this drink. I'm gonna balance it on my head. As soon as I let go of the cup, I'm gonna put my arms down by my side, and I will not raise my arms at all. And I'm gonna drink this drink without spilling a drop. And he says, yeah. You're gonna lay down. You're gonna bring up your knees. You're gonna pick it up with your knees off your forehead, and you're gonna place it on the ground, pick it up. And I was, no, no. And then I said, oh, okay. Forget that one. I say, I got this dime, and I'm gonna put it on the table. And I'm gonna take this pint glass, and I'm gonna balance it on the corner, on the edge of the corner of the base of this glass. I'm gonna balance this pint glass on an angle on the top face of the dime. I'm gonna let go, and it's gonna balance perfectly. He says, yeah, you're gonna do it in the and in the back of his neck. I prefer doing it on the bridge of the nose on the nickel. Like, no.
Got me again.
Yeah, and then my third try was I took an ashtray, put it on the table. And I think this was back when you could still smoke too.
This was all in the same. You were like,
all
no,
the same sitting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
the
still
first try
trying to
same
failed,
minute.
second try failed, and now my third time at him in the same setting. I took an ashtray, I said, okay. Here's this ashtray. It's on the table. Now, here's this dime. I put it on the table, a couple inches away from the ashtray. Now, I'm going to put my hands behind my back. I'm not going to touch anything. And I'm going to, without touching anything, I'm going to put that dime into the ashtray. And he didn't know it. And he's like, you could see the interest.
You're like, are you going to interrupt me?
His eyes lit up a little bit, and he didn't know where I was going with it. And I put my hands behind my back. I took a deep breath, and I went, and I blew the dime. And so I didn't touch anything. And dude, he saw that dime, and thank God I got out of the first try, because it's not the kind of trick you get
Yeah.
But he saw the dime land in the ashtray, and he said, oh my God, do you mind if I tell people? He says, people come up to me fucking all day, every day. Will I fucking do a trick? And this is the perfect trick for me to share with them. Can I do it? I said, fuck yeah.
That's cool.
That's the best.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered how he got the bar. Did you ever see him go to jail and then he pulled open the bars?
Open, yeah.
I wish I knew how to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. How long does it take you to finish a video start to finish?
Start to finish, we try. It takes us average a month.
Wow.
And that's kind of with one producer and one editor going at it the whole time from writing to the end. There's tricks that have taken us 6 months to break, a year
For one
to break,
video.
a couple years of, and it usually starts with honestly, the story isn't right. like it starts in the writing room. If we don't walk away from the table loving the idea, we kind of know those ones are going to die. They're going to have some sort of problem later on until we get that spark back and connect those dots of what that story is.
So
But,
killer.
Wow.
I mean, the rotating room one, for example, was a massive one that we just greenlit. We're like, we're going to figure out the story later. And then we ended up doing some stuff with kind of gravity and walking on the walls, obviously. But it's sometimes you know the story and you greenlight it. Sometimes you just know the trick and you know the build. Like, hey, people are going to just freak out when they see the mirror is the reveal to Harry Potter. Like, let's just go out to the parking lot and start working on it. So you have, it's a whole range of them. But for us, the creative process is like, you have to just be open to all the way through, like ready to rewrite on set, ready to change. And I think we kind of draw a lot from the animation process. Some of our team has been worked at Pixar before or come from other animation studios. And so we like to not only storyboard this stuff, but make what we call mock-ups of it. So we're seeing it like 4 or 5 times, shot on like someone's phone, really, really bad renderings of the tricks. But we've seen it, 4 or 5 times before we really shoot it, so that it's at least got the elements that we really love about it.
How much of a role does green screen play in your work?
Green screen plays small role, probably under 5% in all
Okay.
this stuff. It really, for me, it's got to be practical. It absolutely has to be, like, when I watched Jurassic Park as a kid, which is one of the movies that inspired me to get into it, it was the behind the scenes of it that really drew me in, because I was like,
Sure.
wait, they built the dinosaur head for real? Like a, 20 foot by 30 foot, just the head? Like, that amazed me. And the fact that, like, I always think you could tell, like, maybe not anymore, but when you're watching a Marvel movie and you're like, oh, well, they're
Right.
just like, it's a green screen and they've got some really great costumes and
Right.
but you almost can see that the depth is fake and just elements, something sticks out and you can't quite put your finger on it.
For me, the Marvel phenomena is less about whether it looks real or fake, and more about just like, I kind of lost interest in all that stuff a long time ago because I feel that I can only suspend so much disbelief.
Sure.
Once it gets so over the top and so far fetched, like I just kind of tune out.
Yeah, I think there's like several groups of people. I fall in that category, but I know there's a group of people, because half of them are at the studio, where they do buy into so much
Right.
more than I do. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin it for them. Like, whatever, if they love it, that's awesome. Like,
Sure.
I'll go to the theater with them and enjoy it, and enjoy the popcorn. But for me, it's like, I also love it being practical on set, because we find most our success in like the Harry Potter video, for example, like, it was on set that we made the final tweaks of like whatever the story beat was, or what was funny at the end, or even the trick, how like we do the camera reveal. Like, it all is very specific. To me, if it's not practical and you're in a green screen room, you have nothing to touch, you have nothing to move, you have nothing to really interact with to give
Right.
you like, and also the cameraman, like for me, or the camera gal, is like, it's a choreographed dance between us. And that we found affects the way the trick is revealed, the amount of awe someone has. Like, if you just do the opposite camera move, it might be a totally different reveal, and it's like not that
Dude,
cool. So all those
so
elements go into it,
meticulous.
but having it in a practical set makes the difference. That dance come alive.
Yeah, how do you find the right cameraman for that? I'm sure you had to go through a bunch.
Yeah, we go through a bunch of them. The big thing is, like, we call it, you can't have shaky hands. That's the only, like, it's really difficult if you can see the
Right.
camera shaking. But I got to get props to my camera team. It's actually probably mostly gals now that do the camera work. But we do not only the takes like 70 times average, but we do the practice like another 30 times. So you're doing it like 100 times.
Sounds like me trying to land a skateboard trick.
I mean, it's probably very
Yeah.
similar. Yeah, over
Right.
and over.
Yeah.
And so of course your hands are shaking by the end of it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
I asked for the green screen because I got it in my head that I wanted to make a green screen video a while back, and I finally got around to it.
What is a green screen video? Is that
Well,
you floating?
just
or
like
you
I wanted to make a video with green screen illusions.
Okay.
And this the first time that you came up with my podcast booker, I was like, oh, we're gonna reach out to Zach
Yep.
King, and I was like, oh my god, I'm
I
making
have an idea to pitch. Green
Yeah,
screen illusions.
Right, green, and I was working on it at the same time. And it was right when I was wrapping up that video, I feel like, and I asked them to send it to you. And one
Is
of
it
the big-
done? I've never seen it.
Yeah, it is done. One of the ideas that I had, I was up in my living room, I said, here I'm going to turn on this TV, and my edit bay downstairs appeared on the thing.
Okay.
I said, now I'm going to dive into my edit bay. And so the illusion was I bounced off a trampoline, like very much into the TV, and came out of the TV.
Oh, I have to see this. I have to see this.
Yeah, I was really
and so
excited about it.
You described a plate of you diving into the editing bay?
We set up a green screen and measured the distance from the trampoline to the TV.
Nice.
You know, we cut the exact size TV out of the green screen.
Yep.
And you know, just all we do, we set up with tape measures, like.
I imagine I haven't seen it, but I imagine it actually looks good because you did the measurements. That's really key. And you did the framing.
And by the virtue of taking a measurement to the middle of the lens from each bottom corner of the TV, it's impossible to not have it in the same.
Yeah,
we
get probably a couple thousand videos sent to us each month of fans that try, you know, and that's a popular one they do. And the thing they always mess up is like they clearly didn't measure the angle of the jumping. Actually, really matters, like how you jump from the relation to the camera. But for us, it's actually easier because that is a lot of work what you just described.
Right.
And for our team, like we also only want to do that once, so we don't do that. We'll actually build. It is slightly more work, but it's also cooler because again, it's practical. We would build that set like your edit bay. We cut a hole in the real TV.
Oh,
make it a set behind. And the hard part is, it sounds like that set would have to be pretty far away, like another 10 feet from the TV hole. But that's how we'd pull that off, just cutting a hole in the wall, and that's why we ended up at the studio because our original landlords were like, hey, you got to stop cutting. Like we were hitting plumbing and electrical, and they're like, hey, you guys got to get.
That's great.
You should build sets.
It was I'll be dying after we wrap up. I'll show you the green screen video I made. It didn't perform very well, and it was like, all right, you know, what do you want?
They probably looked at the thumbnail and was like, green screen illusions. Like, isn't green screen already?
Well, no, but it was tanking terribly, and so I was like, I changed the title to Steve-O Exposed Fake Stunts.
And then what, did it go up?
Marginally. Yeah, marginally. And I wanted, when we were having the discussion about getting together with you, I sent a treatment to try to shoot a video with you. And it's less, I think, green screen motivated, but maybe a little bit. And Cameron's going to spill it out on the podcast what the idea is. But it's essentially like I want to just tell an over the top, like the craziest story ever told, and like with the illusions and the trickery, just make it like I'm narrating the story that you're watching happen.
Yep.
The story would go something like this, man. I just can't believe the craziest thing happened. I was like walking through this alley, and out of nowhere, a humongous sledgehammer just comes swinging through on a rope, clocks me right in the head, and there I am laying there, and I think, fuck, I think I'm dead. And sure enough,
Can we see your head explode or something?
Sure. Beautiful.
Yep.
And sure enough, like I was dead. And then it got even crazier because my soul, like, you know, like left my body, and so you've got this like sort of opaque, like
you got a green screen effect there.
Opaque, like, you know, floating up out of the body, and I was in between bodies for a while, but it was crazy because I was able to influence like the physical world around me, you know, like so I was doing like crazy tricks and freaking people out, you know. But then all of a sudden, who would you believe it? I saw Zach King, and I literally possessed the guy. And it was like some crazy exorcist thing, man. Because like now I had, you know, whatever.
And then what happens?
I mean, I don't know, open-ended.
Okay,
At that point, I was seeking to collaborate with you.
I think it'd be funny to take that and you would possess multiple celebrities.
Yeah.
Like that would be great.
Right.
Like not just one.
And my buddy has a working relationship with the Oscar-winning, I believe the Academy Award-winning
makeup artist,
makeup effects guy for
Shape
of Water.
Okay.
Like there was some crazy like monster creature, and this guy, like, this is like some Ozzy Osbourne Bark at the Moon thing where they like put each, you know, like high level special effects and character, and they say that not only can this guy make me into any creature, but he can actually make me into recognizable celebrities where I can like literally walk around in person and be that.
Wow. So is that how you pull it off?
I mean, I don't know.
Practically?
I don't know. I
Seems-
mean, in our case, we could just
Seems
go with
easier
like
to act like you know.
yeah, like the Lindsay Lohan movie kind
Yeah.
of a deal, and we could
Right.
overdub each other's like where we
Yeah.
actually adopt each other's voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it'd be super fun.
Yeah.
And it would. I would imagine that video would be an undertaking.
So what I from
It's
that
gonna
idea
take me 6 months to
on-
do.
I mean,
Yeah,
in my world, maybe a week.
what's interesting, like the only place we start to think about engagement and making a video when we're developing it is like the length. There is like something to the algorithm for the length, and if on YouTube you're hitting that 6 to 10 minutes, that's a great length to be at. But that sounds like almost like a 2-minute sketch.
Right.
I don't know how long that would be, but
I think that what I did with the green screen video was to like reveal the stunt and then kind of get into the like the making of it, you
Yeah.
know, and I think I was pretty effective in making, dude, like I give a fuck about my videos,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes like with the green screen video, like people don't want to see like anything fake from me, so I
Yeah.
understand, but God, I loved working on that.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long are your YouTube videos in general?
I mean, dude, I just went through this phase where I decided to switch after meeting Casey Neistat.
Uh-huh.
I decided now I'm gonna get into vlogging.
Okay, so you actually did.
I
after
did.
meeting him.
I did.
Okay.
And it was a really
How many
important.
did you do?
Oh, I do one a week.
Okay, one a
So
week.
one a week,
Nice.
very doable. And it was a meaningful step for me because what I had been doing and being rather successful at on YouTube was mining through and repurposing footage like accumulated over the last like literally decades.
Yeah.
You know, and I would make it into like top 10 videos. And it was, like,
Compilations, yep.
and ultimately it made me feel like the grown man who won't shut up about what he was able to bench press in high school.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
like living in the past and regaling all of this old stuff, and like, you know, it got a little bit embarrassing that I was, you know, living in the past like that, and so to switch to vlogging represented like just a refresh
Yeah.
on what I'm doing, and it was exciting. But I was very sensitive to the idea that a lot of vloggers put out like 20-minute long videos where nothing happens.
Right.
And the guy who was the exception to that rule, like really like impressively, was David Dobrik. And he had this weird thing about making his videos 4 minutes and 20 seconds
Right.
where like more shit happened at that 4:20, like
Jam-packed.
so jam-packed, where it's like, oh my god, like you were hanging out with David Dobrik and Borat and gave each of them like 15 seconds of screen time,
Right.
you know? So I just felt that 4 minutes and 20 seconds was really like embodied the idea of like not wasting the viewer's time.
Yep.
And I just copied it.
So yeah, that's great. So your week, I mean, Imagine has a lot of interesting stuff. Is that what you're essentially doing? Is just fast?
fast, but like, I try to make it fit. Now, like, I got embarrassed of like copying David Dobrik's 4 minute and 20 long. So I'm like, now I'm like, making a point of just letting it be what I think it should be. And generally, and sometimes it's coming up less than 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Sometimes a little bit more. But I am so careful about not wasting my audience's time. Like the best comment I could ever see on a YouTube video is, "Man, longer videos, please."
Yeah.
That's all I want. And
Right.
he sits there shaking his head. He's like, "Dude, your cutting room floor is a fucking gold mine. Like, you're fucking, just let it play." He's begging me, let it play. I'm like,
Begging him. I mean,
can't
dude,
do
the amount of minutes, because you have so much shit that's like epic that you cut out, and it's almost like a disservice to the person that's watching it, because we work really hard on a lot of cool shit, you know? And then it's like, I'm like, what happened to that part? He's like, dude, we just cut it. I'm like, you cut, you know, it's just crazy. So
And for a while there, Scott was taking everything I cut, putting it on his YouTube channel, which
This is the
really is
second
a
channel, yeah.
Yeah.
dude, it's some of the most epic footage
Is it called
of
the
my
cutting room
life.
floor?
It should be. Yeah, but it's crazy. I mean, some of the stuff that, like, some of the clips that are like, 10 seconds long,
Right.
they could play out 45 seconds and it'd be like, oh my god, people want to see that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it has to be perfect, it has to be good, and it makes the cut.
I mean, I do agree. I wish I could see the scraps, but like, I do agree with you, because attention has been getting shorter. I mean, you could argue
Yeah.
from the day you guys went on MTV, and it's like,
Sure.
there was feature film documentarians. I know they mentioned you in a podcast, and they were like, the competition that weekend was one of your new shows, and they're worried about someone watching their 8 episodes of this documentary that's,
Right.
3 hours long an episode. And so attention has been getting shorter for a long time. But
You know, it's either, like it's gone like kind of like global warming makes shit hotter and colder at the same time. It just goes to completely polar extremes.
Yeah.
And at the same time that the attention span has gotten so painfully short, it's also gotten so painfully long. Like we see what's happened with binging of like full TV series,
Right.
like with podcasts. Like people will put up and listen to like, you know, I know podcasters who put up like 2 and 3 hour episodes, and people are just begging for them to be longer. Like,
Yeah.
it was tough for me to get into.
I have a format
podcasting.
for you to check out then. Might give you more inspiration. I think his name is Ross Creations, and he's a guy down I think in Florida. Does crazy pranks, but they're also you get to see. So basically, what I'm getting at is, I think his videos are 6 to 10 minutes long, but he highlights. And what I appreciate about it is his headline, which is the clickbait, not clickbaity, but
Sure.
the attention grabbing
The
moment.
salacious.
Yeah, it doesn't start with it, but he does in the beginning give a little text.
Cold
and
open?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
just
text.
like basically like where you can find it. It's at 3:40 and it's in yellow, and that's the only thing in yellow. And I usually skip straight there, but if I really want to hang out with him, I'll watch the whole thing around it, and it's a genius way to do it because he probably trends every single video for what it's listed as, but yet it's padded within an 8 to 10 minute thing, which is great for YouTube.
Wow.
So I didn't look into that format.
I'd be really interested to see what it does to analytics because you can actually embed and share a YouTube video where when you click on it,
It goes to that time.
It goes to a starting point. I
Yeah.
see it on TMZ all the time.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that, like, what the implications are on analytics for retention, for viewership, like
Yeah.
when that's utilized.
Yeah, I imagine you just see the hot spot there.
Right.
It probably changes your whole view duration, your average view.
Right.
But,
I mean, it's interesting, man. The world has certainly changed a great deal, man.
Yeah.
Like in our lifetimes.
and that's where like I think it'll continue to change and evolve. There'll be a million platforms that come out, and at the end of the day, that's why I think we come back to like, is the story interesting? You have a gut for when to cut or how long to hold. Like that's what's important. You're holding them as long as you obviously go into it respecting your audience. Like I'm
Sure.
not wanting to make them watch another minute and a half of this because I don't think it's good. Like cut it
Right.
right. And that's great. And for us, it just starts with what is that story and why are we holding their attention in the first place?
Right.
Like, why are we asking for it?
Man, like your sensibility for entertainment is impressive, and I couldn't help but catch that you started out as a guy who taught Final Cut.
Yeah, I taught Final Cut Pro for many, many years. And it's fun. I still meet a lot of fans who either got into filmmaking because of it or now, like I'm meeting fans, it kind of comes full circle. They have businesses that are in the videography or film industry for it.
Going all the way back to when you were teaching.
Yeah, they were watching the YouTube channel.
So YouTube tutorials on how to use Final Cut.
It was early days of YouTube already. You
Right.
didn't make money from it. You were just posting. And at the time, it was like, I didn't think YouTube was the front runner. It was going to be Vimeo or it was going to be Dailymotion or Yahoo Video. And so I was
Right,
posting my
okay.
tutorials on all those things.
Was
but-
this before or after Final Cut 7?
It was way before.
Okay.
It had to be, I was showing Final Cut 6, I think was the first
Okay.
one. But I started in Final Cut 3, and then it turned to 4 or 5, and then I think they were in studio bundles, and you'd get the whole, like, Motion, you'd get DVD Studio Pro.
How long did you hang on to Final Cut 7?
I mean, when it was 10, it was still 10 for like 3 years when I was editing in Final Cut Pro 7. In fact, they still have the preference options to edit using the key commands from Final Cut Pro 7 in Premiere.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what I edit on. Like, I don't know the Premiere shortcuts.
I go default. I love
Yeah, you're on default, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm on the Final Cut Pro 7 because I edited it on so long. But yeah, I was teaching Final Cut Pro because I didn't get into film school my first year. So I kind of had this 1 year of like not a lot to do. And I was like already getting ahead of my film. I had buddies that were in the film program. So I was like, okay, what are you doing this weekend for the film 101 course? Like I was making those shorts ahead of time. And then along the way, because I love Final Cut and I was like a software nerd, I would film my screen at night, do these tutorials, post them on YouTube, Vimeo, everywhere else. And eventually YouTube became the front runner. You still couldn't make money from it, but I was selling DVD courses, and that's how I was paying through film school. Like
Wow.
I was like shipping them and labeling them out of my dorm room. And they were like 10-hour courses. So I gave I'm proud of what I did because I gave hundreds and hundreds of hours of training for free online, but it was always like that was the one place I push merch, and it worked really well. It's just like, hey, if you want the 10-hour version of like 20 other effects that I teach, it's down below. And like people were stoked on it. And so I did that for many years. That's when I graduated film school, I was still doing that business. And that's what actually funded the first studio operations for me. Like I thought that would be my business for a while. And then eventually YouTube AdSense took off a little more. Vine took off.
I remember YouTube AdSense coming out in 2007.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you had to apply. And so I had applied and never got in. There was a couple year window. I think I started AdSense in 2010 or 11.
Okay.
It was late. Like they had that partner program, but it was exclusive. It was like if you knew someone at YouTube, you could maybe apply and get in.
Right.
You had to be one of the top accounts.
But, wow. Man, you strike me as a guy who loves his work so much that everything that you've made just goes right back into your work, and that's why you've been able to grow as exponentially as you have.
It's fun. I mean, that's the filmmaker in me is wanting to like, you know, it was always as a kid like production value, like oh, a train's coming, like roll the camera, you know, like go near the train and
right.
pretend we paid for it. And so now that the fact that you could pay, well, I haven't done that one. That'd be cool. Kind of, I have a train concept, so maybe I should hire a train. How much would that cost?
Oh, that was my next question after was how big of a role does green screen play? How big of a role does a dolly track, a computerized programmable dolly track that can repeat
motion
the same
control.
motion?
Yeah. Well, because the technology, it's really expensive to rent. We have rented like the Bot and Dolly one, and there's these companies. You know, the company that did. Do you know the behind the scenes of how Gravity was made?
I didn't even watch Gravity.
The
but
movie?
Yeah, the movie.
Oh,
With Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Was that-
with Sandra and George Clooney?
Yeah.
So
No,
they
how?
put them inside kind of a mechanical rig called Bot. I think one of them was Bot and the other one was Dolly. And so one was for the camera and one was for their body rig, and that's how they did the motions to time and do it over and over. And
What, the zero gravity kind of thing?
yeah, and so that same technology was put into motion controls, and you can rent their system. It's just really expensive. Like every day is like $10,000 or $15,000, which we're not going to pay. But they're consumer level ones. But
Yeah.
if you like hit record on the camera, like it changes the whole thing. Like it's got to be perfect. So we don't
So
do
you
a
gotta
lot of
do it
it.
with remote control.
Well, so we don't do you have to do it
Yeah.
through remote control. There's a few that hook up to like a PS5 or Xbox controller you can control, but they're still so like I'm excited for that. It doesn't even have this motion yet. Like it needs to have. It's just usually
Right.
like on a dolly, and you
Right.
can tell. So we'll do some of that once in a while when it's like, oh, it'd be sweet to have camera motion in this way. But for us, it's usually handheld, because what we're also going for, the aesthetic, is like an iPhone, or we're going for like a friend filming it vertically for you.
Right.
That's part of the aesthetic to buy into the magic. Is like if it was a highly produced piece and you could just tell, you're kind of like, well, I'm watching a highly produced piece.
Understood, but that's why the programmable motion dolly is so important.
Yes.
Because with that motion comes the if you're on a tripod
Yeah.
and you're like
Yep.
doing layers, then okay, that's lame.
Well,
But-
I'm saying that's where we skip, and it just takes way more visual effects time. But we'll just have the camera person walk around, like
right.
it still feels. We actually just did a motion control piece a few weeks ago. Even if you're like programming, which we're trying to do, like
Program it to be like shitty.
yeah, someone walking and like how you
Right.
actually like
Uh-huh.
pivot the camera. It's so smooth. Like
Right.
the interpolation kind of gets messed up, and it never feels right.
What about that crazy mechanical arm that they use for the Phantom camera, where it's like
Yes, I've never used the bolt. I think it's super fast. It's like
Yeah.
they do a lot of food product shots, slow motion circling the food. I haven't used them, but
not slow motion circling the food, but like where it's like some crazy action movie, like
Oh,
you've got like
Is that the
so it's
camera
like, so it's
forward?
it's
That's a
so
360
the-
oh,
so
the
the-
360 ones.
well, yeah, so that in like 15,000 frames per second or whatever obnoxious
Yep.
slow mo
Yeah.
is, and like the camera's moving like
Yeah.
so fast that when you slow it down to super slow, you've got this great fluid motion.
Yeah, like how they shot. I think they did a lot
Crouching
of
Tiger, Hidden
300,
Dragon.
300
Yeah.
like that.
I love all that stuff, man.
yeah,
I feel like
I-
we would have so much fun together on a collab.
That would be sweet.
Yeah,
do super
dude.
slow motion and
You're sick.
One thing I'm working on, like, I made a big deal out of it because I have a fiance now, and I really wanted to sort of redecorate our whole house such that it would feel like ours rather than her being a guest in my bachelor pad.
Yeah.
And we've been working on that sort of slowly over time. and it's made me want so badly to do a house tour video.
Yeah.
But like, who hasn't done a fucking house tour video? And like, you know, so I just want that to be filled with tricks, like where I'm getting ready
do
to
a magical makeover house tour. So like you would show. Is it currently Bachelor Pad?
I mean, this has been going on
Or is it
over
already-
time.
is
This has
already-
been going on over time.
Okay.
It's been gradually morphing. But like, to make it fun, what I want to do is like, here I am. Okay, it's time for me to give a house tour. And I open up the door and it's me.
Yep.
So I like give myself a house tour.
Yep.
And I want it packed with celebrities. I'm begging Gordon Ramsay to be like cooking up dinner in the kitchen. Like I have a game room and I'm dying to go play ping pong with Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And I've saved the outfit. So I can like
Perfect.
just make it all. I want it full of illusions and
Yep.
fucking celebrities and just like make it so fun. And that's one that I will work on for months and months.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if you did a movie how long that would take you to make.
Ooh, do you want to do movies?
I used to want to do movies. I still have the itch. We're doing a lot of fun, longer form stuff on YouTube, and it's to the point where we can almost self-fund it. And I think the monetizations is a couple years out, where like it doesn't make sense to necessarily partner with a streaming service unless they're bringing a ton of views. The other really interesting partnership is also YouTube Originals, where they're investing back into your channel, and it's going back to the audience, because we've done the whole Hollywood pitch route for different streaming
Sure.
shows, and you sit in development forever.
Oh my
And
God,
then
tell me about it.
And then you spend, and then you spend time.
Forget about even development. You see, you get just jammed up over the contracts to even start really developing.
Yeah, exactly. And you're stuck in that, and then you're spending all that time, and you realize at the end of the day, it's going to go on some other platform, some other networks. Your audience, I mean, maybe you could tell your audience about it, but like, if my audience is on YouTube or online, like, I want to put that stuff back there, where it's going to feed and grow that and continue that.
Right. I mean, dude, I'm in this exact same situation right now. Watch, I'm saying way too much. I became a tattoo artist, and
Okay.
I really put effort. It just started as a YouTube video. Like, what if I tried my ass off to like give people really good tattoos? Because I had already had like fans show up, like, oh, dude, put your name, and like,
Yep.
so I'd done it before. I thought, man, fuck. And then this kid says, will you tattoo me? And while I was tattooing him, I thought, what if I really put effort into it?
Yeah.
So I tried my ass off. I got my bro to really teach me.
Huh.
And I was shocked by like what I was able to accomplish.
Huh.
And then all of a sudden it was like, dude, let me fucking make a project out of this,
Yeah.
And I made a couple videos. They were fun. It was great because the tattoos I choose to give people are, the
That's
combination of like guys, people want me to tattoo them so badly they don't care if it's fucked up,
Right.
and they're willing to get whatever I
Right, whatever you want to put on it.
Right. So that whole dynamic's really funny. And it's turned into a television series conversation,
Cool.
which has been jammed up in the contract phase.
And now you're thinking like, oh, why can't I do this on?
It's been jammed up over the contracts and we're just not like on the same page. And I'm just like, I've been thinking to myself, it's not fucking worth it, dude. Like I would do way better to keep it in my own ecosystem, like you're talking about.
Right. And the long tail of it, I imagine too, the content living, even way past your lifetime. Like the value is going to be in the library.
For the estate
Yeah.
to own it.
For the great grandchildren
Right.
to own. But there's value in the library too over time, and that's
Dude, I had the same thing happen with my comedy special. I put out this, I've been doing stand-up for like well over a decade now. And when it came to my second comedy special, my head exploded when I came up with the idea to not just show me performing the stand-up, but to interstitially edit in the footage of the stories that I'm telling in my stand-up. So I made this like completely original multimedia comedy special and reunited the whole cast of Jackass. It was just my masterpiece. And
Yeah.
I was like, I poured a good $300,000 into producing it.
Yeah, wow.
And then after producing it myself, I brought it out just like, oh man, they're gonna freak over this, and everybody rejected it.
Huh.
Because they were like just not bullish on Steve-O stand-up comedy, despite the fact that it was so original and like such the best thing I've ever made.
Yeah.
So I just doubled down. I got to work on the next project, and came up with a paywall system on my own website. And so now it's been hugely successful for me. I still own it, and I've proven the value of what I'm doing.
Yeah. So how does that work? Does streaming service, would they own or network?
Oh yeah.
Would
Oh
they
yeah.
own all those stories? Like, would you not be able to tell those stories
Oh,
again?
I don't know about
Like, do they
that.
own the gags?
I don't know about that. I just did a new book deal too, and
And now you're like, shoot.
I know that on my book deal that I retained like movie rights if I
Yeah.
want to sell it. Like I'm not, so I would have a, but yeah, like if I was gonna go try and reshoot the same act,
Right.
Like Dave Chappelle can't go re-perform and reshoot the same act. So yeah,
Yeah.
so they would own the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that.
Wow. Yeah.
It's crazy the whole landscape, and I know I can already feel like all the comments. You shut the fuck up, Steve. You've been talking the whole time, but I feel like the most of what's been said around across the boards has been very interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
think-
fun. It's fun. It's like I think that being in the new frontier is more fun than trying to reverse engineer what's happening here in Hollywood. You know,
Right. It's crazy, man. Like, I look at like the Howard Stern. I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, but he's like, undeniably always has been the king of all media.
Yep.
He's just like, and he's just like a representation of old school entertainment industry, where like what he is impressed by is movie stars, like classic, old school model of, but then with like Joe Rogan being of the new school has crept up with like the whole digital landscape.
Yep.
And really, you've got Howard Stern and Joe Rogan, and I don't know if Joe Rogan's overtaken Howard Stern, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised, and I consider myself of the Joe Rogan ilk.
Yeah.
Where Knoxville, my buddy, is distinctly more in the Howard Stern headspace.
Yeah. And I think both can exist in the world together, coexist. There's some version of it. I don't think it's
you gotta
settled yet.
straddle.
But I'd much rather be in what I think is more the innovative and the newer frontier.
Yeah. So what can we help you promote? TikTok? Are you looking for followers?
I'm looking for followers. If we can get 50,000 more. No. I don't have anything to promote. I mean, if you're a kid, I have a book series that's really fun. If you're in like it's a middle grade reader.
Okay.
And that's really cool. It's like a 3-part series. I would meet, and this is like actually answering that question about kids who would come up and be like, do a magic trick for me.
Uh-huh.
A lot of kids would come up and I'd be like, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. It's editing. Like, here's how it works. And they'd walk away like bummed out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, well, I would love to give them something that was like, especially like the 4 through 8-year-olds who almost still believe it's real. I wanted to give them something. So I was like, okay, let's write a book series. It'll have the story of like Zach in a magical family, but he doesn't have magic. And in the series, he gets sent to middle school, which is also just a fun time to play in a lot of kids' lives and talk about that. But what if you did find out you had magic, and like, what would and my kind of magic? So that's what the book series was, and that's my fun thing to give to kids now. And I carry around them in my car when I
Cool.
meet kids in public. It's like, no, I can't do magic, but here's a book to keep it alive for another year for you.
That's cool.
Okay. And does that book bestow upon the reader the ability to do magic themselves? Is it instructional?
Well, actually, no, but it kind of does. There's a bunch of companion apps that are free that go along with it. So on your phone, it brings all the art to life in like an augmented way.
Cool.
So
Wow.
yeah, we found a lot of kids actually with autism, and parents will share this series because it gets their kids into reading for the first time.
Wow.
So that's a cool benefit, like a side thing that's happened.
Yeah.
And how do
over the
people
last
find
few
that book?
years. Just on Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, on the most popular book site in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazon.com.
Yeah.
What's and what's the title of it?
Zach King, My Magical Life is the first one. Start
Zach King, My Magical Life, and that will lead people.
That'll lead them down the rabbit trail.
Okay, good. That's
cool.
great. So we got the book, we got the TikTok, we got the YouTube.
Yeah.
How often do you upload on YouTube?
YouTube is once a week on average. That's the hard. I don't know your cadence, but that is a hard cadence to do. At
Yeah,
least
it
for
is,
my stuff,
dude.
because it takes so much time.
For sure.
And like again, I'm like you. I'm not gonna just sit and vlog for 6 minutes because it hits the window. Like it's got to be
Right.
interesting.
Absolutely.
So if we go a week or two without posting, it's also like we're not killing ourselves.
Right.
But that generally once a week is our our target,
Right.
and then 2 shorter pieces every week.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot, even like for me, and I feel like I'm pretty psycho over my editing,
Yeah.
over my standards, and but still not quite you.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine. But we upload every week to 4 different YouTube channels.
I'm jealous of TV shows and the cadence they have of this idea of a season break.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, I mean, I think we've been going for, at least on the current stuff that people would watch, like we've been doing this for 7-8 years at that cadence of trying to do once a week, trying to do 2 pieces a week. And I mean, we take breaks obviously, and but it's hard for us to like stockpile this stuff.
Yeah.
I think in Coyote's episode, he was like, yeah, I have 14 episodes, and I'm listening. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm barely finishing the next one that's coming out next week.
It's called living paycheck to paycheck.
And I've got like
video to
you know,
video.
a massive team helping me. Like we can't break that cycle.
Right.
But I think it's part of the fun is like just continuing to, and it allows you to be fresh though. With at least you can play with something that's trending. That's something
For sure.
that is nice about constantly being on. But
By the way, thank you for listening to the Coyote Peterson episode.
oh, that was a fun
man.
one. When you were like, okay, let's break down the business model. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
don't get awkward, Coyote. Let's go. Let's get the top 3.
Right. Yeah. What's your top 3?
I think I shared minus merch. That won't be in the top 3, but
Branded integration.
branded
clearly,
integrations. We do a lot of production work, so
Oh, wow.
we shoot a lot of stuff that I'm not in. That
Cool.
you might know if you watch a commercial and you're like, oh, that's a similar type of magic. Like we maybe made
Okay,
it,
good.
but you won't see me in it.
Have
And
you done a
so
Super Bowl commercial?
I was in a Super Bowl commercial last year
God,
for
dude.
3,
Oh,
for, no,
dude.
for 3 seconds. And
He's
so
mainstream, folks.
it was with Sabra, and what I wanted to do, it was last minute. Like they had 25 different celebrities and influencers in there, and they said, you know, you get a second. Like let us know what you want to do. And I was like, well, if you give me like 8 seconds, I could. What if we froze this? Like that's my dream, is to freeze the Super Bowl feed and let people really think it's frozen, and then do some of our classic kind of like unplaying the icons or restarting your TV for you gags. But they were like, okay, we can get you 3 seconds.
Whoa.
They're like,
That's a good amount of time.
but they were like, yeah, and that was one of those projects. I was like,
what's that? That's at least 100. Wait.
Someone told me on their team, they were like, dude, this is like worth $500,000. So like,
yeah.
just you should take the 3 and be happy. And
Right.
And that's
I mean,
kinda,
a 30-second spot. That is like what 30
Is it really?
million bucks. So yeah.
well, it's like 8, 9. I think you're right. It's like somewhere between. You have to spend another 12 million.
wait, no, I think it's 5 million for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but then you have to spend another like 10 to 15 million over the course of the month with the network.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably like 20, 30 million as a buy-in.
Right.
And so that was one of the projects I was like,
3 seconds.
what can I put into this? Like, so we tried to freeze it for a second, 2 seconds, but still the gag didn't fully pay off because you have to.
Oh, dude, we got to edit that out for you, dude. We
freeze
can't.
it.
We got to edit that out for you. We can't say that you came up short for the Super Bowl.
We didn't come. It was just not what it's not what it could have been.
Okay.
Their overall ad was fine. I mean, they still had 25.
And you know what? We'll
celebrities in it.
leave it in because your integrity speaks volumes.
Yeah. It's not dissing their ad, just what we could have done, the potential.
Oh,
So we should
next
do it
time.
again.
Next podcast, next Super Bowl.
Right on, man. Anything else we can direct some traffic to?
No, that's it, dude. To the honey hives, they can
Oh,
get
yeah.
honey
You
online.
told me about the honey,
no, I'm just
dude.
kidding. I got into beekeeping a couple years ago. I tried to give this to everybody that crystallization is okay.
And dude, this is 100% superfood.
Yeah, yeah.
You said
that's
the honey
good
hive. Do you have one of those boxes where they go in and you just tap it?
stuff. No, those apparently, I don't want to.
I can't imagine them working, but like,
I can imagine them working. I
They
can't
seem
imagine
to-
them being great for the bees. I don't have those. They're just a standard. I don't know what called traditional beekeeper.
and you dress up in the whole garb, and then
I
you,
have to. I'm like deathly allergic. So
Oh, shit.
I'm trying to think of a name for that honey. I'm never gonna sell it, but I
Wait.
want to give it away.
Wait till you see our new Jackass movie, Jackass Forever.
Oh no.
The bee bit in there is really...
Is that the limo bit?
No, that was on Jackass #2. We got a new Jackass movie coming out in October.
Okay, so what?
I can't tell you what it is, but just get ready because it's
Oh,
really
man.
fucked up.
Yeah. No.
Scott saw it.
I saw it. It's pretty
Yeah,
fucked up.
Bees are, did you have honeybees or did you have Africanized bees? 'Cause
They were...
'Cause-
Like normally with bees, I've been very good about just like stay calm and I'll be all right.
Yeah.
In this case, I didn't do shit, and they started fucking stinging me
so
right
that
away.
makes me think that they were Africanized bees. 'Cause
Yeah.
honeybees, like, same way. Like I used to handle them before I found out I was allergic, and they're fine. They're not going to sting you. but Africanized bees, which are the ones like I post on Craigslist to get all my hives for free.
Wow.
So, but usually those ones are the wild Africanized bees that are super aggressive. Like they'll sting through your suit, you know.
Dude,
Really?
So like I wonder if that's what they threw on the show.
I mean, dude, it's for. I didn't even get my intro out, and I was fucking getting tagged.
yeah. Dang.
Yeah. Well,
Dang.
hey, man, dude, thank you so much, dude,
Yeah.
for
I'll
doing
take it
this
to the
with us.
studio.
Yeah,
I'd
we'd love
to.
to.
Let's do
Yeah.
it. Did I tell you that was magical or what? Yeah, dude. What can I say, dude? The bucket list tour really was unbelievably insane. I did the big high dive belly flop into the pure piss that I was talking about for so long right before I got it ready. Man, that worked great. And then there's the other new bit with the 4-inch needle going in my spine. Dude, I had no idea how that would be received, and they're going crazy for it. Dude, I love the bucket list tour. And, you know, the meet and greets are a lot, but I've been doing them. So I'll see you on the road. Yeah, dudes, thanks so much.